And then, so how quickly, 2019, how quickly did you start ramping up as well?
No, I started at, 10, 12 grand a month in revenue. And I maybe got up to around 20, 25. But in July of 2020, I got sober. And from there, it was almost straight up and to the right ever since then. Thank
So
you.
that's 3 year, 20 to
Five
4,
and a half years.
5.5 years. Is it like an awakening kind of a moment where you're like, hey, now I'm going to take all my energy and put it into Takeoff Monkey?
Exactly. It was, drinking alcoholism is, it's an obsession in a way. And my brain needed something to obsess over. And, I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And
Yeah.
I said, I'm just going to lean into this and just go as hard and as fast as I can. And I did. I just immersed myself. I thought about it, worked on it, every waking moment, and started to see results. And that was, that was addictive. It was
Nice.
drove me, and I haven't stopped. I asked for help. I guess smart enough to know that I'm not smart enough to just figure everything out by myself. So I've never had a problem asking for help. There were a lot of great resources there. I still kept in contact with some of my bosses from years before, who, I would call and speak with regularly, once every couple of weeks or so, and get guidance and advice on whatever. And then in 2021, we raised capital for the first time.
Whoa.
And that was through one of the country's biggest landscape companies. And so all of a sudden I had sort of an ad hoc HR or finance department, some really sophisticated folks who could help and guide.
Nice.
And
Let's
had
talk
a
about
vested interest.
let's talk about the raising capital part a little bit, because that's one of those bigger jumps that entrepreneurs would have to take if they want to expand rapidly, right? Which obviously you wanted to do. So can you talk about that process a little bit? How did you raise the funds? And then who helped you, if any?
I read a book called Venture Deals by Brad Felds. It about put me to sleep.
Yes.
But I got this idea in my head that I was going to raise, and I put the word out to some different founders. I leaned on my incubator a little bit. And then one morning, I got an email from this company at about 6 a.m. On a Monday morning. And by that Friday, we were kicking legal terms back and forth. Of course, relied heavily on a phenomenal lawyer, friend of my family, and we were funded a couple months later.
Wow.
It was, everyone told me that it will never happen that way again. It will never come to you.
I would agree with that, because that is extremely rare. Is, you putting some things out there and then literally somebody reaching out to you. Either you have like this amazing product, okay? Or I think probably more important is you have this amazing potential where somebody saw that in you and said, hey, this company is really about to go somewhere. Let's invest now, get in before the market. And so what was that raised value, if you can share it? And then like what valuation?
Sure. So I raised $300,000 at about a $2.2 million valuation.
Jeez.
And yeah, it just blew my mind. Everyone said that would never happen again. But then in 2022, I got a random phone call from a number I didn't recognize. I answered, and it was another customer who had just sold his business, and he wanted to be part of the business too. And so we raised again, another $300,000, but this time at a $6 million valuation.
Nice.
And that was just a little under 2 years later. Beginning of 23, we got funded the second time.
Okay, so let me ask you the obvious question here. So now we're in 2025, which has been 2 years. What kind of revenue are you doing? And then what is your company valued at today, you think?
So today we're actually in the middle of a raise right now. Today our revenue, we're around $250,000 a month. And about 80% of that is recurring, which investors love.
Yes.
And I'm trying to raise at around a $25 to $30 million valuation.